From our studios in Olympia, Washington, TCTV presents South Sound Seniors, news and views featuring the people, places, and events that impact our growing senior community here in the South Sound region. Our program is presented as a community service to inform and involve you and yours in the lives of older adults. Your host for South Sound Seniors is the Executive Director of Senior Services for South Sound, Elain Mackenzie Sullivan.
Welcome to South Sound Seniors, a program for and about older adults in our community. And I want to say a big thank you to all the volunteers and the staff and crew here at TCTV that make this show possible. Without them, it wouldn't happen. So I can only sit here and talk. I don't know how to do any of that camera stuff and the sound booth stuff, and they are excellent at that. So a huge thank you. I am very excited because this is our next show that we're doing in partnership with the Senior Action Network, and that is an organization in our community that brings people together that work with and want to work with and serve seniors. They get together and network. They also get together to serve seniors, and part of our mission is education. And tonight we're going to have some education for seniors, and I would like to welcome Cyndi Nelson from Exit Boardwalk Realty and Elain Carroll from Habitat for Your Sanity. And so we're talking about transitions, how people have to face that transition of maybe leaving their big home that their family grew up in. It's too big for them now. They have all those empty rooms. Or maybe they had moved, but now they don't want to do the yard work anymore. They can't clean the gutters. Or maybe it's just time for a little bit more hands-on care and they need to move to a senior residence and with some services there. But that can be overwhelming for people.
Can.
Yeah. So you're here to give us some of your wisdom about what people need to think about. So let's start with you, Cyndi.
Well, I think that the most important thing is for people to plan way ahead of time, and to consider really what is the purpose of the move. Is it for health? Do you need extended care? Or is it because you just don't want a two-story house anymore? Or is it just that the kids are gone? Or is it that you lost a spouse and you're just looking for something you can manage yourself? And so that's really important to think about that, and it takes a while.
Yeah.
It really does. And then, of course, the big issue is, well, what am I going to do with all my stuff?
Right.
And then that's where Elain comes in to help.
And you
great deal with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
We refer to each other a lot, and I also do a lot of estate work where maybe the personal representative for the estate is out of town or out of country or out of state, and Elain can come in and take care of all the moving issues, and then I can come in and take care of the sale of the property. So we work with attorneys, and there's lots of people involved a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Elain, so the person has made the decision, they are going to move, they're going to be downsizing significantly. How do you approach all the stuff?
Well, I think the first thing to keep in mind is that this is going to be an emotional time, whether it's by choice or not by choice. And sometimes people are forced into the situation through poor health or lack of financial resources or whatever. So it's very important that we always keep in mind that for the person going through it, it is going to be emotional, and so we want to have a lot of patience and a lot of respect. One of the things that bothers me more than anything with seniors is that they end up being treated like children. They need to know that they have some control over their lives, that the decisions are inevitably up to them. What we try to do is take the burden of the move off of them. In other words, all of the little segments of it, the changing of the utilities, the scheduling of the movers, making sure that where they're going, we understand the rules if they're going to assisted living or they're going to a senior housing development or anything like that. We know what the move in and move out rules are. We do it all, or we do pieces of it, depending on what that person would like us to do. We can do the whole thing from beginning to end, including the settling and the shopping and making sure that when they reach that facility or that place that they have chosen to live, that they're ready to move in and occupy it without any kind of stress. So we try to unburden the senior from that, and we fill the space that the family or the friends perhaps can't or won't.
Yeah, wow, that must really be a burden to lift for somebody at that
It's a huge
time.
burden.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, say somebody is really deciding, okay, it's time, but I don't really know what I want to do. Can they just call and ask questions and talk to you? What would you recommend? Where do they start?
Absolutely. They should call and ask lots of questions. They can call me. There's lots of resources, anything that they have questions about. And one of the issues they have to think about is, do they own their own home? And if they do own it, what are they going to do with it? Because they have options. Just because they're moving into assisted living or into a smaller facility doesn't mean that necessarily they have to sell their house. Or maybe they think they have to move because of financial reasons. And if they just talk to the right person, they can find out that, well, maybe I can refinance or get a different type of loan and stay in my house, and I didn't even know I could do that. So it is really important to contact different people to ask different questions, and also if there's an attorney involved, if you have an attorney representing you for your estate, it's real important to find out how the sale of a piece of real estate will affect the estate. And so that's just really good information to have. So of course the Senior Action Network just has a huge pool of resources for people to call upon to answer those questions.
Right. Yeah, it really is a great resource. Because I imagine at the times of transition, people are vulnerable and people can sometimes be taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So finding somebody that's really reputable, that has a good reputation in the community and that can be trusted.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it involves, if they decide that they're going to sell their home, sometimes it involves what do I do with the belongings that aren't going to fit into the new space? And so we work with estate sale people and auction people and appraisers and so forth. And as I've said, we work together, Cyndi and I, often on the sale of the place and getting it ready for sale.
So Elain, will you consult with the person so that they can get the most value from the items that they've decided that they're going to get rid of, that they aren't going to take with them?
I think it's the communication all the way along is absolutely essential. We need to know what it is that you want. What do you want? What is your vision of this when it's all over? You know, and we would like to see them happier than they were when they left their home, you know. And if you've been in a home for 30 or 40 years and it's comfortable, the automatic feeling is, well, I'm downsizing. Well, I prefer to call it right-sizing because there are times in our lives when the yard becomes too much or the home just becomes too much, and it's time to do something different. It's not worse, it's different, different time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know one of the things that you are very good at is helping people to organize so life isn't as chaotic. How do you go about that with somebody, Elain?
Well, you know, organizing is really quite simple. It's a matter of putting like with like and developing homes for things. You actually create homes for things. If the things that you own have homes, then you know where to put them. But if nothing has a home, it ends up with everything else, and it's a jumbled mess. So often what I have happen when I work with somebody is that they feel like I've created space where there was none. But it's a matter of just fitting the stuff into the place in an organized manner. So we do a lot of sorting and we do purging and we find out, again, we consult, we find out what is your vision for this space? And it's important if the senior, no matter whether they're staying where they are or they're moving to another place, that their home is safe, that they're not going to fall. We know what happens, you know, we break a hip and end up in the hospital. We need to know that it's safe and it's healthy. So the organizing is really an essential part of it for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like to recommend, if it's at all possible, is to find the place where you want to move to first.
Okay.
And then move the things you want to take with you there and feel it. See how it feels. Are you okay with the things you left behind? Or is that special chair that belonged to so-and-so so important to you, you want it near you, so you can go get it. It's not gone yet, it hasn't gone anywhere. You can go get it, bring it in, maybe take something else back, but you can play with it until things are really comfortable for you. And then go ahead and find homes for the other things. And so that makes it a lot less stressful if you have the ability to do that. Some people can't. Some people say, well, I can't move until I sell until I sell my house. So, but some people can. So it's a really positive way to do it if you can.
So, Cyndi, if somebody is moving, they've decided they just want to move to a smaller house, what kind of things do you work with them to figure out where they want to be or what kind of house they want to get?
Well, we go shopping. And it is a process. It isn't that you'd say, I want a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and I want the front yard taken care of, and we go and find it. That's not it at all. And what happens is that we go shopping, and you see different places, and you say, this feels really good, and I like this about this this floor plan or this subdivision or this facility, whatever it is, but I don't like this over here. And sometimes when you see what's out there, you end up changing your mind. And what you thought you wanted isn't really what you end up with at all, So that's it. It's just finding out what's available and going to see those places.
Wow. So you just kind of have a finger, and actually working with seniors, I would
Absolutely.
imagine you can help steer them.
It needs to be their
And listen
decision,
to them.
but our job is to give them the information they need to make the right decisions.
Right.
And they need to, depending on what their family member situation is, oftentimes we have quite a few people involved in the decision.
Yeah.
And that can be a very good thing.
Right, right. And is that true with the organizing and selling things too,
Oh,
Elain?
absolutely. Yes, we want to make sure that the heirs get what it is that they need to get from the parent. There are things that I try to tell everyone, and one is start asking the people in your life what they want, because I found time and time again that it isn't necessarily what you think they'll want.
Interesting.
That it might be some kind of kitschy little thing that means a lot to them because there's some kind of a memory behind it, whereas the Ming vase they couldn't care less about. So it's important that you ask it in advance, and it's important for the relatives to understand too that we want to know. If I ask my daughters, what do you want? Tell me now, because I might end up selling it or giving it away. I want them to say, well, Mom, I really would like that figurine or that painting. I had it happen to me when I was quite young. Somebody asked me in the family, what do you want, when I'm no longer here? And I felt so uncomfortable. I felt like a scavenger, like I'm going to go, well, I want that and that and that and that. But what I realized later was she really wanted to know that. And I couldn't tell her, and I wished that I had.
Yeah. It is. We have all kinds of feelings with those relationships. They all are intertwined with our stuff, and maybe some sibling rivalry and all kinds of there's all of that.
And we're very attached to our stuff.
Yeah.
A friend of mine recently told me that his wife has a saying in her family: never cry over anything that can't cry over you.
Ooh.
And I keep that in mind in my own downsizing. And I say, okay, that chair is not my mother, and it really isn't me. Why is it in my house?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, I just want to get your phone numbers so that if somebody has more questions about moving, they can give a call. So Cyndi of Boardwalk Realty, what's your phone number?
My number is 360